It was a gray morning when Richard Langston, the man everyone once called the steel-hearted billionaire, found himself kneeling in the damp soil of St. Mary's Cemetery. The wind hissed softly through the cypress trees, carrying with it the scent of rain and memory. In front of him stood a headstone carved with his son's name, Daniel James Langston, 1994-2022. But what caught Richard's attention wasn't the cold marble or the dying flowers at its base. It was the sound of quiet sobs, a young woman's voice, trembling and raw, with a small child clinging to her hand, just a few feet away from the grave he'd come to visit. The little girl was clutching a single sunflower, its stem bent, its petals glistening with dew lees. "Mommy," she whispered, "can we come back tomorrow too? I miss him. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening." Richard froze. Every instinct told him to leave, to let them have their moment. But something in that child's voice, so soft, so heartbreakingly familiar, anchored him to the spot. He cleared his throat gently, and the woman turned. Her eyes widened when she recognized him. For a second, the world seemed to hold its breath. "You," she stammered, gripping the little girl's hand tighter. "You're Daniel's father." Richard nodded slowly. "And you are?" Her name was Amara. She spoke quietly, like every word was a confession. "I knew Daniel before he went overseas." Her gaze dropped to the child beside her. "This is Lily, Lily." The name struck him like thunder. The child peeked up shyly from behind her mother's dress, her big brown eyes filled with innocent curiosity. And something else, something hauntingly familiar, the shape of her nose, the way she bit her lip when nervous. Richard's pulse quickened. "How old is she?" he asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Amara hesitated. 3. The silence that followed was so heavy it could have cracked stone. As the morning light filtered through the trees, memories clawed their way back into Richard's mind. Daniel's laughter echoing through the estate, his idealism, his stubborn heart. He had enlisted against his father's wishes, saying, "I need to make a difference, Dad. Not just make money." And now, standing before his grave, Richard wondered if his son had made a difference after all. He looked at the woman again. "Why didn't I know?" Amara's jaw trembled. "Daniel wanted to tell you, but after your fight, he was afraid you'd cut him off completely. He didn't want Lily to be a secret, but then..." Her voice broke. "Then he didn't come back." Richard turned his gaze back to the grave. The letters of his son's name blurred as his eyes filled. "I told him not to go," he whispered, "and he said he had something worth fighting for." Amara nodded faintly. "He meant her." Lily bent down then, her tiny hands brushing away the fallen leaves from the base of the headstone. She looked up at Richard with childlike sincerity and said, "Are you sad too?" Richard's heart splintered. "Yes, sweetheart," he said softly. "Very sad." In the weeks that followed, Richard couldn't shake that encounter. He found himself driving past their small apartment on the edge of town, leaving groceries on their porch, and later, an envelope with enough money to cover the rent. Amara tried to return it, but he refused. "It's not charity," he told her. "It's family." But Amara shook her head. "Family isn't bought, Mr. Langston. It's earned." Her words stung more deeply than he expected. For the first time in years, the man who'd conquered corporations felt utterly powerless in front of a woman and a child with nothing but decency and pride. So he did. Something he hadn't done since his wife passed. He tried. He started spending time with them. He'd take Lily to the park, watch her laugh as she fed ducks by the pond, and listen to Amara talk about the struggles of being a single mother. Every story she told about Daniel, his kindness, his clumsy jokes, his habit of humming before bed, stitched a little piece of Richard's broken heart back together. But the guilt never left him. He often sat awake at night, staring at the empty side of his bed, thinking of all the years lost, how he'd chosen pride over forgiveness. One evening, as rain lashed against the windows, there was a knock at his door. Amara stood there, soaked and shaking, holding a folded letter. It was in Daniel's old uniform pocket, she said, pressing it into his hand. I thought you should read it. The letter was dated 3 days before Daniel's last mission. His handwriting was rushed but clear. Dad, if you're reading this, I guess I didn't make it home. Don't be angry. I just hope that one day you'll meet Amara and Lily. Tell them I love them. And maybe tell them you're proud of me too. Richard's tears blurred the ink. His hands trembled as he folded the letter and whispered, I am, son. More than you'll ever know. Outside, lightning cracked across the sky, and Amara stepped closer. Without a word, she placed her hand on his. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of forgiveness, of understanding, of something healing that neither of them could name. Months passed. Spring bloomed again over St. Mary's Cemetery. And this time, when Richard knelt by the grave, he wasn't alone. Lily sat beside him, humming softly as she placed a fresh sunflower down. Grandpa, she said innocently, do you think Daddy can see us? Richard smiled, tears shining in his eyes. I think he can, sweetheart. And I think he's smiling too. The wind stirred gently, as if agreeing. Somewhere in the rustling leaves it almost sounded like a whisper, one that said, thank you. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back, and sometimes it blooms in the unlikeliest of places, like a sunflower growing from the soil of sorrow. If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters. You never know. The next one might find you.